You come to the New Yorker Radio Hour for conversations that go deeper with people you really want to hear from, whether it's Bruce Springsteen or Questlove or Olivia Rodrigo, Liz Cheney, or the godfather of artificial intelligence, Geoffrey Hinton, or some of my extraordinarily well-informed colleagues at the New Yorker. So join us every week on the New Yorker Radio Hour, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
And let's talk about what lessons about.
Let's hang out.
And let's listen to two lesbians shout.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
Hey guys, welcome to Let's Hang Out, a podcast hosted by two lesbian wankers. From the East Coast, out in Boston, I'm your co-host, Ellie Brigida.
And out on the West Coast, I'm your co-host, Lee Holmes Foster.
And welcome to episode 12, our third installment of Lez-ssentials.
Lez-ssentials is one of our favorites. It's a recurring segment on the show where we will dive into classic lesbian movies or shows.
And for this Lez-ssentials episode, we're going to be breaking down my favorite lesbian movie ever, Imagine Me and You.
We want to do a quick shout out to our first ever Patreon viewing party that we had for this movie. So we had such a good time, and we want to say a special thank you to Barbie and Rose and Jeannie and Michelle who joined us for that. It was a ton of fun.
It was the best.
And
we hope that more of you will join us for our next one. We also are going to be writing and recording original songs for each Lez-ssentials movie, which is really exciting for us. Lee wrote a spoof for Carol, and we had far too much fun arranging it, recording it, and you guys seem to really like it, so we decided we're going to do it for every single Lez-ssentials movie.
Ellie and I actually met through a cappella and met through music, and so we've been looking for ways to bring that to the podcast as well, and we are so pumped to be starting that this week.
Yes, so we will be playing that song at the end of the episode, so make sure you listen to the whole thing, or fast forward through the whole thing to get to the song at the end. Don't fast forward.
I'm gonna kick us off with a quick intro to the movie for anyone who is not familiar with it. Imagine Me and You, it's a 2005 movie. It was written and directed by Ole Parker. It stars Piper Perabo and Lena Headey, both excellent in this.
Chemistry is on point.
Yeah. It also features what I think is the shit-showiest IMDb blurb that I have yet to see for a movie. That's a word, right? I can say that?
Yeah.
So I'm going to read the blurb as it is actually written on IMDb. Yep. A newlywed bride becomes infatuated with another woman who questions her sexual orientation, promoting a stir among the bride's family and friends. And I'm going to say there's three parts of that sentence. The first one is correct. The second one is incorrect. That is not another woman who questions her sexual orientation. She questions her sexual orientation. And nothing promotes a stir. I think they meant to say prompting. I don't really know what they were going for there. What I'm going to say is it's the one where Piper Perabo and Lena Headey get together and they have a really great makeout scene.
That is a much better description.
Yeah, right?
I like that a lot.
Just short, concise. To the point.
That's what I saw. This movie is also very special to me because little Ellie, when Blockbuster was still a thing, so this was a while ago, okay?
For the youths in our audience.
Yeah, Blockbuster is basically old school Netflix, except you had to go to a real store.
And get tapes.
Yeah. Get VHS tapes. Look it up.
And rewind them. Back in the day.
Back in our day. I remember going to Blockbuster. Every Friday, our family would go and watch a movie. It was actually really fun going and looking through the shelves and trying to pick a movie that everyone wanted to see. But I vividly remember seeing the cover of Imagine Me and You on the shelves in Blockbuster. And every single time I walked by it, I would stop, I would look at the cover, and I would be like, interest. And then I keep moving. For anyone who doesn't know what the cover looks like, Piper Perabo and Lena Headey holding hands behind two guys' backs.
Yes.
And I was like,
We'll put a picture of it up.
girls holding hands? That's so interesting. Okay, I'm not gay. Bye.
Did you look at it and go, looks like my prom photos. How strange.
Yeah, honestly. Exactly like my prom photos.
A little bit like that.
So when I finally saw the movie, I was like, wow, I remember this movie. Yeah. And yeah, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Also, this is one of my favorite lesbian movies ever. Probably number one. So when I wrote the outline for this episode, I wrote it all by memory. I just sat down and was like, wait, I know how this entire movie goes. And it just flowed from me like lesbian water. So you're welcome, audience. You're going to get
I'm going to be laughing about lesbian water for the next 20 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, not really sure what that means.
This is a family-friendly podcast, Dilly.
Sorry about that, kids. You know what? Let's dig into the film. All right?
Let's get started. So the movie. Kick us off on the movie.
Kicking us off in the movie. The first thing in this entire movie is Piper Perabo getting ready for her wedding to a man.
The jitters, the bridesmaids, the screaming, the excitement, the Rupert Giles of it all. I mean, you know.
Yes. Literally right before we recorded this episode, I was watching an episode of Jeopardy, and they said what Buffy's watcher was. And people said, teacher?
What?
Principal. And then someone just got an X. And I was sitting there like, librarian.
Come on, you guys.
What is a librarian? So everyone in our audience, please watch Buffy and know that Giles is a librarian. And he's also in Imagine Me and You.
I choose to believe that canonically this is actually still Rupert Giles playing Rachel's father. I mean, it's just hard for me to watch Anthony Stewart Head in anything else and not see him as Giles, which is sad because he's in other stuff and he's a great actor. But every time I see him, it's just, I'm like, oh, Giles.
Let himself go, Giles, though.
Yeah.
He's real drunk through half the movie.
But I still love him. You still love him.
Let's get back to Piper because
the movie's not about Giles? Okay. Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So there's this one scene, I think maybe like the fourth or fifth time it really just hit me that this girl runs into a McDonald's on her wedding morning in her wedding dress.
Literally all I could think of is I was like, I can't believe you're going to take your wedding dress into a public restroom at a McDonald's. I'm like, I will barely walk into a McDonald's just because I'm like, I like these shoes. I can't imagine taking a dress in there and it's like, it's going to touch every surface and it's going to get, ugh. Anyways, don't do that. Don't go to a McDonald's bathroom in your wedding dress.
But yeah, I think the takeaway is that she really does not care about this wedding.
Wedding dress, schmedding dress. Yeah.
Then we finally get to the point where we meet the beautiful Luce.
Yes, we've met Rachel, who is Piper Parabo's character. Now we meet Luce at the wedding. Ugh.
Which I just like to say, I'm happy that she's there, of course. But what florist is at the wedding? Like, don't you just drop the flowers off and leave?
Well, sometimes you set them up. You don't just, like, drop them in a pot. They actually drive up in a dump truck and they just, like, tilt the back, you know, dump a giant pile of flowers, peel out of the parking lot.
It's sort of normal for her to be there.
It's not necessary for her to go up and, like, meet everyone, though. She's talking to Heck and Coop, and then there's the whole conversation with H that happens, right?
Yes, and for our listeners, H is Piper Parabo's ridiculously younger sister.
Yes, very much younger.
H is her name, and she starts out our drinking game rules, I'm pretty sure, right here. Because she's always asking questions. And every time she asks a question, you have to drink. But she asks a very important question that starts off our whole romantic journey.
A doozy of a question.
What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? That was
my
good,
God.
Right?
We're going to get so many British accents in this, and it's going to be amazing. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
And very important question, right? And of course, Luce knows the answer. And the answer is they cannot both exist.
If you have an unstoppable force, you can't have an immovable object.
And that's going to be very important, listeners. Spoilers ahead. That is a crucial piece of insight. Also, apparently that's when H and Luce become besties, I guess.
And will continue to be besties for the rest of the film, which we will continue to talk about because...
we will talk about it a lot.
It's weird.
It's for
sure weird.
I mean, it's adorable and cute, and I love H, but it kind of gets a little weird, too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're like constantly talking on the phone. Like they're literal like best friends.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. But we pass by this whole unstoppable force deal to get to yet another. Honestly, everything is pivotal in this movie to me. But I mean, this is the moment where we know girl's not super straight. And the worst moment ever to realize that you're into someone else when you're walking down the aisle on your wedding day.
At your own wedding. Just the worst time for that. Excellent timing, Rachel.
So Luce leaves just in time to see Rachel as she's walking down the aisle, and their eyes meet.
Yes.
And you just know.
Their eyes meet with this excellent... I mean, I'm going to call it a musical cue. It's not even a musical cue. There's just like a ringing sound when you watch that scene in the movie. Everything around them stops. It's actually like the musical cue of the sound cutting out. What I love about it is, because we're going to talk a lot about this whole idea of like love at first sight and whatever.
And whatever.
But it's not and whatever, because I am such a giant sucker. And I will say 100 times, if you ask me the story of meeting my wife, I met her at a intro meeting for a springboard diving team when we were in college. And I still have like the most vivid memory of turning around, seeing her, and literally like, it was just like everything else just like faded away. Of like that tunneling where you're just like, oh, right. And you just like something in you just knows. And you can tell like that's that moment that they're having something. Both of them are suddenly just having that like, kind of moment where like they know what's happening. Rachel must know and must know that it's the worst time for that to happen.
Ever. Also, I've never heard that story and I'm about to cry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That is so sweet. And I know have a little bit of a reputation on this podcast for being single and wild, but
you're really a giant softie on the inside, Ellie.
I'm a huge softie.
I know it.
I am such a hopeless romantic, and it makes me believe in love, so thank you, Lee.
Well, that's okay. If you want to feel better about it, I was dating someone else at the time, so...
So were Rachel.
I was Rachel. Someone else who listens to the podcast too. Hey, Jess. But, I think the important thing is sometimes you just know. You know, and you can't avoid that moment, and you can't really, like, try to pretend that it didn't happen, right? And I think that's the situation they're both going to find themselves in as we continue through this movie.
I think this is a really strategic filming moment, because they don't show the wedding. We don't see them say I do.
Yep.
We don't see them kiss.
Ooh, that's very deep. I like that.
Yeah. It goes straight from her seeing Luce. They leave the wedding and have like the rice and the happiness, but you don't see the actual wedding, the ceremony.
You jump straight to the end and straight to the reception. And good Lord, I mean, the first thing that happens at the reception is Rachel loses her ring. Like, yeah, that's a good sign.
Symbolism.
That's excellent work,
Yeah, and of course, loses her ring, like, while Luce walks up to her.
In a bowl of punch. And also, I don't get how that happens, because I'll be real, you get those things sized. It's possible your engagement ring might not fit exactly, like, maybe they picked it out and didn't have it sized to you or something, but, like, your wedding ring will fit you. It's not like it's something that just slips off, right? You have to have taken that thing off. So how do you take it off and like toss it in a bowl of punch?
And just throw it in the punch bowl. Right. It wasn't an accident. She was so over it. She threw it in the punch bowl and then she was like, oh, I guess I got to take it back.
There you go.
Wow. The perception of this scene has completely changed.
God.
But of course, this also starts another part of the drinking game, which is whenever Luce and Rachel are unnecessarily touching, this is their first official meeting, besides the time when they fell in love. And
that one time.
She's like, cover me, right? But she, she grabs her body and like places it in front of her. You know,
Yeah.
like she's like, "Oh, this guy is coming over. You need to hide me from him." But she touches her a lot.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
We're all for it.
Oh, I am all for the unnecessary touching. But at your wedding reception, girl, come on.
Okay, but I'll tell you what, I am 100% more in favor of Luce touching Rachel unnecessarily as opposed to Coop and Luce dancing together, because just gross. He's gross. Cooper's gross at so many points in this movie. This is just one of them.
Yes.
But that's a big one where he, like, you know, cuts in and then it immediately switches to a slow song, which is fine. But then he goes in for, like, the awkward, close, squeezing her to him.
I think he actually says the words, "Let's cuddle."
To me, Cooper is that quintessential guy. He thinks he's so charming, and he can't stop talking about sleeping with everything he talks about is sex, and he's just the worst. So give me Luce and Rachel touching over Coop and Luce any day of the week. He's the worst.
Yeah. I also feel like they made Coop so horrible so that when you see Heck, you're like, this is an incredible man.
I know. And I do love Heck.
Yeah, I do feel really bad for him. But
we'll talk about that more too. Like, for example, when he stands up to give his speech and he's so nervous and he can't do it, and Rachel stands up to give it for him.
Mhm.
And it's so adorable. The only thing and it's something that I'm going to talk about with Rachel and Heck also a couple times, because I think they do it a number of times throughout this movie where, you know, she mentions something about them being best friends when she's giving that speech for him. And I feel like they really kind of play up this whole thing of them, like, just being friends. You know? Like, that's kind of a running thing in them trying to establish the relationship that Rachel and Heck have. And the only thing I want to say, I mean, as someone who is married to my best friend, like, it is possible to be best friends with someone and to still have, like, passion in a relationship. Yes. And that gets kind of short shrift.
We can talk about that whole dinner scene. We're going to get there. Oh, yeah,
we'll get there. The thing I wanted to say there is, like, I feel like that is not just a queer experience, right? I know we have straight people who listen to the podcast, and I know we give you guys a hard time, but, like, it is possible for you as well, you know? I don't want to downplay that, like, you can marry your best friend and still be into them. She just happens to not be into him at all.
Yes. Well, they play it up like she put him in the friend zone and then basically was like, I guess I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Like, that's sort of how it was. So I do think she was never really attracted to him. I think you can be attracted to someone that you're friends with. She had to create this attraction and sort of convince herself that it was there.
Yeah.
So I think their relationship is a different breed.
It is. But
I agree. You're right.
We'll talk about it.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Right. And I feel like they kind of make it seem mutually exclusive in this movie. So just want to toss that out there. But I'm going to jump us right along to our next scene, which is at the flower shop, Luce's flower shop, because this is one of my favorite things in the movie, is this dude who comes in to buy his last chance flower.
Mm-hmm.
He's screwed up with his girlfriend. He has one more chance. He needs a flower. It's his last chance flower. And what I love about this, Luce tries to give him all these suggestions, all these other flowers, all these other beautiful things, and he comes in with what is essentially a cactus penis. It is like
worst flower ever.
Yeah, it is the most phallic thing ever. It literally has like a little cactus shaft and like 2 little cactus balls. Ugh. And what I love about this is like watching this movie with, you know, like especially as a bunch of lesbians and queer women, is like there's no way that you could make phallic things seem less appealing than, yeah, sure, just like cover them in cactus needles.
Oh God.
Excellent. Reinforced, really just driving that point home. Well done, Imagine Me and You.
It is so disturbing. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for putting that image in my mind as well.
You're welcome. Ellie, what should I watch now that Winona Earp ended?
Well, if you like Winona Earp, you should definitely check out Riley Parra on Tello. It's a little bit Winona Earp, a little bit Buffy, and a little bit Rizzoli and Isles, but actually gay.
Oh my god, I love the Riley Power book, so of course I'm watching it. Plus, Tello's all about making content for lesbians, so lesbians are front and center.
And you know we're all about lesbians front and center. Ugh. And did you know they're the first lesbian network to receive an Emmy nomination, which is huge.
Such a big deal. We were so excited to buy our subscription because we know all those fees are just going to go straight into making more lesbian content, which I think is something we all want.
More lesbians. Absolutely.
Month or your first year.
So be sure to check out Tello and subscribe to watch great shows like Riley Para and so many others.
Well, this starts also Luce always talking about what flowers mean in this dramatic way. Another part of the drinking game.
Yep.
This just brings us to this flower. Luce did the flowers for your wedding, okay? There is no need to keep talking to her. Like, the movie could have ended after your wedding. You never had to see her again.
Yeah, you don't even have to mail a check. You give them the check at the wedding. You don't have to communicate again ever for any, like, if you don't want to.
Yeah. But of course, Rachel wants to. And so she shows up to her place of work to invite her to dinner.
Yeah. Which, what I love about it is Luce is definitely the Carol of this movie.
Yes.
Right?
No, Rachel's the Carol of this movie.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Rachel, is the Carol of this movie.
Yes,
Sorry.
Rachel's the Carol of this movie, and she's constantly trying to get with Luce. And Luce, she's the one in the relationship.
Well, I mean, like Carol, right?
Shameless. So, of course, invites her to dinner and thinks that she wants to be friends with her, like any young baby gay. I just really love hanging out with her. Which brings us to the next scene, the auction scene with Rachel and Heck. And this speech that Rachel gives about Luce is, first of all, so freaking long. Another part of the drinking game, Rachel's rants, drink. But she starts talking about, you know, when you just meet someone and you just feel like you've known them forever and you just click, you know?
I really hope we actually have British listeners who are just going to come on and shit all over our British accents.
Please, you can shit all over my accent, it's fine. But I'm gonna keep doing it because I like it. The best part about it is that Heck isn't even paying attention to her, which I think is a running theme throughout this. He is so oblivious.
In the sweetest way.
Yeah, in the sweetest way, because he's like, oh, my wife has a new friend. Oh.
And they just kind of click. How awesome. Yeah, I know.
Just kind of click. They are in love with each other. Run.
But while we're on British people coming on and making fun of our accents, I just want to do a quick shout out to, it's not really a scene that we need to talk about at all, but there's a quick scene with Luce and her mom. And what I love is both Luce and Rachel's moms in this movie have the best euphemisms or sentences, or they just come out with like the best things ever. And this is the first one where Luce is talking to her mom, and she just says something about how it's like playing snooker with a rope, and I just think that's amazing.
It's disturbing.
Because there's so many of them, and every single one of them I just think is like the best thing ever. And I'm like, why isn't there more opportunity for me to say that in day-to-day conversation? It just comes up less than you'd think, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately. But let's weave it in, you know?
There you go. I don't know. I love that. I'm like, it's totally worth her mom being in the movie just for that line to me, because her mom's there. She doesn't really have a huge role to play in this film.
Yeah, she's
but
just
if
hilarious.
her role was nothing other than being in that one scene and saying that line, I'd be like totally worth it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I really just want to see Luce and Rachel again. So
yeah,
we got to get to the dinner scene. So the dinner is happening, and then there's this whole scene where Heck and Rachel are talking about Luce, and Rachel says, "Oh, do you think that Coop will like Luce?"
Yeah,
and Heck's like, oh, well, she's not really my cup of tea or something, whatever.
No, bag of chips. She's not my bag of chips, darling. Come on.
Yes. She's not my bag of chips. And he's like, oh, what do you think? And he's talking about his outfit, and she thinks that he's asking her about Luce, and she's like, oh no, I don't know. I've never even thought about it. Is she pretty? I don't know. I never even noticed. Like, and I'm like, okay, honey, you are really freaking out. It's okay.
Yeah. And she's so invested in Coop liking her, you know? He'll like her, right? Don't you think? You think he'll like her? I think he'll like her. Yeah, that's what you care about.
Yeah. Who else has been a young baby gay trying to set up their crush with a boy? Lee.
Hey now. I am not the only one. We've all been there, okay?
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is the first scene where Luce's tattoos are shown. There's a moment where you see her tattoos, and I just wanted to sort of side rail.
Okay.
Because when I first saw the tattoos, I was like, oh, it's a lesbian. How are we going to tell that she's a lesbian, right? Oh, we have to give her tattoos. Actually, fun fact, Lena Headey has at least 9 tattoos, and that bird tattoo that she has on her shoulder, ladies, you know what I'm talking about. That was real.
Was this just some really demanding research for you to do?
Oh, yeah, it was so hard for me to look at Lena Headey and all of her tattoos. It's just,
I bet
I'm just trying to do it for the fans, you know?
She suffers for you, listeners. She suffers for you.
I did. But she does have this tramp stamp. I'm pretty sure that's not real. There's like a tribal tramp stamp.
The tramp stamp.
And I did not see that in my research. So I think they added that for dramatic effect.
But if anyone else has done more research and wants to let us know if we're wrong, please let us know.
Find me that tramp stamp. But speaking of tattoos and knowing that someone's gay, we didn't know that Luce was gay up until this point, right?
We did not know for sure, no.
Yes.
So this might be the first official outing.
Yes. Outing, yes. So Heck is asking her, you know, about her dating life and all that kind of stuff. Do you ever want to get married?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And he finds out that she's gay. And the first freaking thing that he says is, well done.
Well, he says, lovely.
And
lovely.
Then he says, well done.
Well done. Yeah. Which I just think is the best response to someone coming out to you. I think if everyone responded that way, the world would be a better place.
Yes. But what does well done mean? Like, good for you, basically. Yeah. Good for you that you get to sleep with women.
Yeah. Good on you.
Yeah. Which I agree.
Good for all of us.
Well done, Luce.
Well done. Yeah. And then my next note in this scene, because I have a couple of these throughout the movie, is just Cooper.
He sucks.
Coop shows up at dinner and is immediately talking about sex again, and specifically talking about himself having sex again, because that's all he can ever talk about. But luckily, his bringing up sex segues into a lovely discussion about love.
Love. And Rachel starts it, right? She's basically like, when you find the right girl, you'll know, right?
Yeah, so they have this conversation about, you know, how do you know when you find the right person, and you don't know right away.
It slowly happens, and then you realize that you loved them all along, and they're comfy like a sweatshirt, or like all these things that are not sexy when Rachel's talking. Which brings us to what you were talking about before. Can somebody be your best friend and also there be passion? And of course, Luce has to come at her and argue, no, that's not what love means. I think you know from the second your eyes meet.
Subtle, Luce.
Subtle, Luce. Like, as I stare into your eyes, Rachel.
Yeah. The second your eyes meet, like ours met at your freaking wedding.
Yep. And I don't know. I think I'm a proponent for both. Sort of like you were talking about before. Because I do think there can be lust at first sight. Lust maybe is not even the right word. Infatuation, or just recognizing a connection in someone else.
Sure.
There's a line from Wedding Crashers.
Oh, right. Your classic romantic hit.
Yeah, Wedding Crashers, so romantic. But there is a line, when your soul recognizes its counterpoint in another, is what love is. And I do feel like, in a dramatic way, the eyes meeting, that overwhelming feeling that you get, is your soul recognizing your counterpoint in another. That was so cheesy, but I believe it. Which I think is why I love this movie, because I really do believe in that magic moment. It does exist.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you.
But Rachel's real pissed that Luce thinks that.
I know, right? She's so upset.
Well, and I get it, because Luce basically invalidates her whole marriage. by saying
Right.
that, and reminds her that she had that moment with the woman sitting next to her.
I mean, it's not the only way she's going to invalidate her marriage.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Whew. But yeah, there's this huge fight. And then I guess Luce goes up to the roof to cool down.
Yes, she does, but before she does, Cooper has to be awful again because he's Cooper. So I have another Cooper note because he has this great line when he's talking to Heck, who mentions that Luce is a lesbian.
Oh,
And
God.
Cooper has to say, well, anyone can change teams. Well, I mean, not anyone, not me, because, like, of course, you're the fucking worst, Cooper. Ugh, just like every time he opens his mouth, I hate him more and more. So, anyways,
Yes.
sorry. Quick aside of how terrible Cooper is before Luce has run up to the roof.
But also, him saying anyone can change teams is foreshadowing for your
Yeah.
wife is going to change teams, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lena Headey is just on the roof, sitting in the rain.
Yeah, like you do when you're at a dinner party.
Right? Yeah, I'm just at a dinner party. Let me just go upstairs on your roof and just be hot.
A 4-person dinner party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab this umbrella and go sit in the rain.
And Rachel's sitting there staring at her for so long before she's like, what are you doing out here? Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God, you crazy.
You're getting all wet.
You're so wild. And then Luce comes in, and Luce is cold from being outside.
Yeah.
And Rachel plays this, like, what? I'm going to give you my Letterman jacket? Like, could you be any
Yeah.
more
Yes.
obvious, Rachel?
Yeah, she's like, let me give you my sweater, and then let's go down to the sock hop and we'll share a malt shake or something. I mean,
Yes.
it's, yeah.
Oh, and then poor Heck, he's like, what are you guys doing up there? I'm like, oh no, nothing. We're just planting the
Yeah.
seeds for our lesbian romance. See you soon.
Yeah, nothing. NBD. Nothing to see here.
Just hanging out. Then once they leave, I also noticed, and I think this was really strategic of them, Luce leaves, kisses Heck on both of his cheeks, and then just looks at Rachel
Yeah.
and doesn't touch her at all.
They do that when she gets there, too.
Yeah. And it's like, you can feel the tension because they're not touching.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's like when I was pre-gay and I would never kiss a girl because I was like, no, if you kiss a girl, then it's like, you cross the line and you'll know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're like so awkward and into each other. It's very obvious to everyone but Heck, but so is everything in this movie.
Yeah. And then we have this whole scene with her and Coop where Luce says, Coop notices that Luce is down because she's in love with your best friend's wife.
Yeah, which she doesn't say. She just says, she's into someone.
Who is in a relationship. And Coop's obviously like, go for it. Totally, dude. Yeah. Ugh.
And she tries to explain that she thinks you don't mess with other couples. You don't mess up someone else's relationship.
Yeah.
That's gonna last real long.
Not long. It's so sad. I just love Heck, but I love Luce, so it's just really hard.
But luckily, Heck is blissfully ignorant, and he is carrying that blissful ignorance into the happiest, most awkward grocery store outing in the world.
And also, okay, she just met Luce, and now she's everywhere. Like, how did they never see each other before?
Yes.
We
We apparently live next door. We shop at the same grocery store.
I love Edie's her friend's name, right?
Edie.
She's the best. And at this point is when Rachel finds out that Luce is gay.
Her reaction to that tidbit of information is absolutely priceless.
Oh, yeah. She's like, oh, that's why I've been thinking about making out with her. Oh, this is weird.
Yeah, she has no idea where to file that information. It is just there, and she doesn't quite know what to do with it yet.
We have my favorite, which I feel like when anyone ever asks me if I'm gay from now on, I'm going to have to say this. He's like, Edie, are you gay? Gay? I'm ecstatic.
I'm ecstatic. It's the best answer ever.
Like the highest level of gay is ecstatic.
And she is ecstatic. So, I mean, 10 points to whoever the actress is that plays Edie. What a great cameo part in this
she's
movie.
the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, What are you doing?
What do you mean? I'm making
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's only one story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
There's a lot going on right now. Mounting economic inequality, threats to democracy, environmental disaster, the sour stench of chaos in the air. I'm Brooke Gladstone, host of WNYC's On the Media. Want to understand the reasons and the meanings of the narratives that led us here, and maybe how to head them off at the pass? That's On the Media's specialty. Take a listen wherever you get your podcasts.
And then we have a classic lesbian best friend scene where she's like, what did she say? She's Barbie heterosexual?
Yeah, Barfy. I thought she said Barfy heterosexual.
No, Barbie. I think she says Barbie.
Really? I'm gonna disagree, and I'm gonna say it's Barfy, and we will rewatch this scene a million times
She's
trying to figure it out.
Heterosexual. I think that's what she says. We'll rewatch.
Okay. Tell us what you think, listeners.
Barbie or Barfy?
Barbie or Barfy? Which
Which is true. Obviously, Luce has an issue with straight women, which is why she has a like life and not a love life.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
I want to, before we jump to the next important scene, because I know we're going to get to H's science project, but I just have this real quick shout out to Heck and Rachel having breakfast in bed scene, because I love it, because again, they're trying to portray this whole thing of like, look how boring and sexless their relationship is. And I'm like, man, that looks like a great morning.
It's so nice.
So anyways, I thought that was cute, but let's not spend too much time on that, because we have important Luce and Rachel scenes to get to, you guys.
Yeah, baby. So this Luce and H are just so too close.
Yes.
So Rachel has found out Luce is gay, and obviously she's having some feelings. And of course, she goes to her kid sister's science project presentation, and who's there? Luce.
Luce is there, right? Because that's your typical attendance for a kid's science project is, my mom, my dad, my sister, and my sister's wedding florist.
It just doesn't
Obviously.
make any sense.
No.
Also, this was the point that I noticed, that Luce wears the same pair of jeans throughout this entire movie. And they are hugely baggy jeans.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if you're straight, you wear tight jeans. If you're gay, you wear baggy jeans with a belt. Like, that's the defining factor of Luce being a lesbian, are these freaking jeans. So be on the lookout for the jeans.
She has long hair, Ellie. How else would people be able to tell?
You're right. She had to wear baggy pants.
I mean,
Silly me.
Silly you.
Ugh. But thank God that Luce is at the science project presentation, because we get to have some more moments. And the first time I saw this movie, this dream sequence, I was like, oh my God, is this real? Like, they are really, like, about to make out in the middle of a freaking elementary school
science project.
Their pinkies touch, which we've already talked about before, is the classic lesbian move.
Pinky touch.
Right? We had a pinky touch in... Oh, no, we didn't have a pinky touch. We had a lip bite in Debs.
We had a shoulder touch in Carol.
And now we have the pinky touch.
The pinky touch.
Oof. Which is really, it's like lesbian first base. Oof.
Even when it's overdone and totally played out, it just never, I never get tired of watching the lesbian pinky touch.
No.
It just gets me every time.
No. And then we have this moment at the end when they leave where Rachel wants to talk to Luce. And we can only imagine what she wants to talk about.
But she's playing this whole, like, I don't want to talk to you. Because she starts out that conversation where she's like, you have to go, right?
Yeah, like, you're busy. I'm sure you're super busy. And she's like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not. And then she's like, no, never mind, I am. And then Rachel's like, we should talk. And you're like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
It's a very confusing conversation.
Their signals are always a little crossed. We don't have the talk because Luce is trying really hard to not mess with someone else's relationship, which we appreciate about you, Luce.
Yes.
But you can't resist. Oh my gosh. Can't fight the moonlight. Has to do it.
Oh, that is such a good Piper Parabo shout out right there.
I had to.
Excellent work, Ellie. Excellent
I love her.
Work.
We never have that talk, but girl is still really thinking about Luce.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she goes immediately after this and decides to explore her sexuality with a little lesbian porn.
Wait, was it? No, it wasn't lesbian porn or straight porn.
No, it was not.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, this has totally recast this whole scene for me.
Oh my gosh. Yes, she gets lesbian porn. That's why she's freaking out about it.
I thought she was like watching straight porn and like trying to make herself be into straight porn.
No. She's like, oh, it's just for research. She's like, oh yeah, research. Yeah. No.
God, how many times have I seen this movie and I've seriously seen that wrong every time?
Yes. And then later, when she's talking to... Also, for our listeners, if you have not seen this movie, please watch the movie. But also, this porn is named Georgie's Bush. What?
Yeah.
Classic. Let's just throw a like jab at America in this British movie, which I understand. But she goes home and she starts to watch it. And then Heck comes in and she's, oh, no, I'm not watching anything. And really, poor dude. This whole movie, he tries to have sex with her. I was gonna put this in the drinking game. Every time Heck tries to have sex with her and she says no, she kept saying no so much that it just made me sad and I couldn't put it in the drinking game. So yeah, he's trying to watch the porn with her and she tells him, oh no, it doesn't turn me on. So that's why it's definitely lesbian porn.
But see, that's the thing. I always felt really bad for Heck in this scene because I've always thought she was saying like, no, like, porn doesn't turn me on, you know, and I always interpret it as like because it's straight and so it like doesn't turn her on, and I was like, oh, poor Heck. Like,
no, poor Heck, because she's trying to say lesbian porn doesn't turn me on to convince herself that it doesn't.
It makes more sense this way. I mean, I'm just gonna say this is my bad here, but I'll still argue with you about barfy heterosexual.
Yeah, but for sure that's lesbian porn.
One.
Oh, Rach.
Okay, but now we move from shooting Heck down over porn to a giant bonfire and fireworks extravaganza. Do we know what this is for?
Like, they need to have permits for this. Like, it is a huge freaking fire.
Right?
Like, someone is gonna get burnt.
They don't really tell you what is happening, but they're at this thing. There's this really, I mean, great and also kind of sad conversation that Heck tries to have with Giles about Rach and how they don't have any sex, which I get is hilarious, but also, like, sex-positive parenting, Giles, come on. I hate when they have, like, parents in movies just be like, don't ever talk to me about my child.
My daughter never has sex.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I understand if you don't want, like, the details of it, that's cool. But yeah, like, he sort of takes this hard stance of, like, don't ever remind me in any way, shape, or form that, like, you have sex with my daughter. And I'm like, well, that's a really sad view of your daughter's marriage to have. I had higher hopes for you, Giles.
The thing is, though, she doesn't have sex with her husband, so that's...
I know.
And of course, we see Luce again, because she's freaking everywhere.
Because of course she's there, because didn't H call her or something, I think?
Probably.
Who
knows? She does run into H. This is my favorite because H is just this little, it's just this little girl who doesn't really understand sexuality, but that's what makes her so nice is Luce tells H that she's a lesbian, or she doesn't think she's going to marry a man. She will marry a woman and spend the rest of her life with a woman.
Yeah.
And H is like, oh, of course, I get it. I want to spend the rest of my life with my best friend, too. It doesn't mean you're a lesbian or anything.
It's adorable. Like, oh. And then what I love, though, is then she runs off with the boy that she met. And same thing, we get this, like, little kid, like, love at first sight moment, you know? And they're adorable together.
And then I don't even think that Luce and Rachel see each other at the fire pit scene. Rachel sees her from a distance, but they don't interact at all.
Yeah, no, they don't really.
So Rachel's definitely avoiding her.
Not avoiding her for long, because what does she do when she gets home?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, we have this scene where Heck asks Rachel if she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And of course she's not pregnant. And he's like, well, it would explain why you're being so weird. And it's like, no, it'll just explain why she's a lesbian.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, it's so sad.
Heck is really, like, tugging at our heartstrings at this point in the movie. It's rough.
What I love about this movie is that they don't paint Heck as a bad person or a bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes sexuality so black and white when in every lesbian movie, it's like, I hate my husband, therefore I'm going to be with a woman. It's like, I really love this person, but my feelings are telling me that I should be with a woman, you know?
I agree. I do also understand why, like, even though we love this movie and we've seen this movie so many times, like Kelsey will always say, it's just the one part that bums her out, you know? Like, it bums her out to have it be breaking up a marriage, you know? Like, because it is kind of a bummer that, like, it feels like one of the movies where we do kind of get our little, like, lesbian happy ending. But it comes at such a cost. The cost of poor Heck's little heart. And they do make you love Heck in this movie.
I don't know. I think that's great. I think it makes it more real.
Yeah. I agree.
And interesting.
It's nice to not have it be like the choice between any woman and the worst man in the world, you know?
Exactly. Like, it's just not very nuanced.
Yeah. But
then poor Heck also, he goes to take a phone call. And Rachel calls Luce and just sits on the phone like a weirdo. I'm like, first of all, do you not have caller ID? Because, like, Luce knows that you just called her and just sat there doing nothing.
Yeah.
And she for sure knew. Like, she knew that was Rachel. Because when she calls back, she is grinning like, oh, I'm calling Rachel back.
Right, because the other thing is, like, this is not, you know, I mean, this is not like Carol, where you're like, how does she know that it's her, you know, where you had, like, operator, please connect me. Like, this is not that kind of situation. It's not even like you're calling her landline. She calls her freaking cell phone. Of course she knows it's you. And then she calls right back. I love that she just calls back. Like, that is just not playing around, dials him right back and is like, oh, hey, you just called me.
And then poor Heck sets up his wife on a freaking date.
Yes. Heck.
It literally is my heart.
You're crushing us right now.
Oh, God. It's so bad. He's like, oh, you want to accompany my wife to a rugby game? How fucking gay.
But
it is rugby, right?
I thought it was soccer. I don't know.
Oh, it's soccer?
I don't know. That's a good question.
All right, well, whatever it is. Some sort of sporting event.
Sports ball game that they attend. I want to take a quick second to shout out Rachel's hat because, I mean, okay, I think, was this last episode that we were just talking about? Gaydar is not just what people are wearing, right? And I and I called you out for how we have totally had conversations about gay items of clothing. And, like, let's be real, dude. That hat is gay. You want to know how I know? I own that hat. And that is a gay as fuck hat, okay? Like, come on.
Did you buy that hat after seeing this movie, though? You were like, oh, she looks so gay in that hat. Let me buy it.
No. Who doesn't own the little beanie with the brim? It's a gay hat, okay? We all own that hat.
As the movie progresses, she gets gayer and gayer looking. Her hat in the scene, then towards the end, she's in a freaking vest.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yes.
She just keeps getting gayer and gayer.
Right?
Like, the pants get looser. It's a lot.
She starts wearing loosest jeans. I mean, it's all going
classic
downhill.
Lesbian. Yeah. Or uphill, really. But this is an iconic scene.
The iconic scene. This is
the iconic scene. So much unnecessary touching.
I mean, that's not just how straight girls hang out, like with their arms around each other.
And she goes, maybe if you put both of your arms around me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, Rachel.
From behind, just big spoon me a little bit. Yeah, just like you do all the time with all of your friends.
Let me teach you how to scream. Like how, oh God, so much, so much. Sorry, I just got red.
Just fan it down a little bit. Fan it down. It's okay. It's okay.
You want to say the infamous line? Because I'm not going to be able to say it without laughing.
The infamous line being, "You're a wanker number 9." How's that?
Beautiful.
I made my mouth a cathedral is what I did.
I really want to test that out, where you just scream that and see, like, whoever turns around is gay. You know what I mean?
Just go to, like, any crowded event. Yeah, we should start doing that.
Yeah, and just scream you're a wanker number 9 and be like,
lesbian?
See ya.
Lesbian.
Yeah, gay, gay, gay. Or just, I mean, people will probably look at me because I'm screaming in the middle of a thing, but mostly because they're gay.
But the ones who look at you smiling.
Yeah.
Those are your queers. We'll know them. That's fine.
I swear to God, I'm trying that out. We've already set the scene. As if the date could get any better. They're gonna go dancing.
Yeah. We're making air quotes right now, dancing.
Because they play freaking DDR.
Okay, and I know you and I both have very strong feelings about this DDR scene, because that is not how DDR works.
No. First of all, they spin around.
Yes.
They're not looking at the screen. You've played DDR before, right? Like, you know how it says, like, excellent?
Yeah.
Or it says boo. I was trying to look at the screen while we were watching, and it's just all boos.
Have I played DDR before? Come on. I went to high school, Ellie.
What level did you get to?
Here's what I can tell you is one of my favorite high school memories is one of the guys who was in theater with me, and he was also in robotics club, and he built his own arcade style DDR pad. So he had like a solid like DDR pad, and it was kind of awesome. And so we used to play when we would have like cast parties and stuff at his house.
That's amazing.
So yeah, every time I watch them but the thing is too, it was such an early 2000s movie thing to have the choreographed DDR scene as though somehow that's how you play that game, you know?
Oh yeah, there's another one in Teenage Drama Queen with Lindsay Lohan.
What's the one now where it actually has the camera and you have to do the dance
Just
moves?
Dance.
Yeah, I'm like, this is years and years before that existed. Like, there is nothing that you had to do other than hit the right direction at the right time.
I would get sweaty and gross playing that game. Like, you would not look cute.
No, and you never looked like you were dancing. You just looked like you were spasming wildly. There was nothing elegant or graceful about it. It was a ridiculous game, but it was a lot of fun. So
yes,
that is their DDR that they are failing miserably at, but they're having a grand old time, with each other before their walk home.
Oh God, and on the walk home, it's just like so much love. But we have to get to the best line.
Yes.
So Rachel wants to know what her favorite flower, the lily, means. And Luce is really not trying to tell her. Then eventually she does tell her.
Yeah, she tells her about a lot of other flowers first.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the lily.
And then she says, I dare you to love me.
Oof. And our hearts bottom out at that moment.
Also, I'd like to say specifically that the tiger lily means I dare you to love me.
Oh, did you do more research? Look at you.
Yes,
You're a
because
beast.
I was like, is that really true? Is that really what the lily means? And I looked it up, and if you just look up a lily, it does not say I dare you to love me. Specifically look for the tiger lily. But obviously, they couldn't go through and be like, well, some of the lilies mean this, but tiger lily is this. So it's more dramatic to just say, I dare you to love me.
I love when
you
get into serious research mode. Take that, old Parker.
Yeah, old Parker, you idiot.
It's the tiger lily.
Also, Luce says, just randomly throws in there, today was my birthday.
Yeah, I know, right?
You just went and hung out with this random woman on your birthday.
Yep.
Do you have any other friends?
Well, H might have been busy that night. It was a little late, you know.
You're right. It's way too late for H to have a birthday party for her. They can bake a cake in her Easy Bake Oven.
They're hanging out tomorrow, you know, at an appropriate daylight hour. But the most important thing in this scene is that they walk up to Rachel's apartment, you know, and she's doing that whole, oh, this is me. And then she leans leans in for the kiss. A car drives by. She immediately snaps away as though she had been burned and acts like nothing happened at all. Smooth move, Rachel.
And I'm just saying,
smooth
Rachel is
move.
bold because Rachel is the one who's married and she's the one who goes in for the kiss.
She's the Carol, you guys. She
is the Carol. She for sure is the Carol.
100% the Carol of this movie.
And then we're all left unsatisfied. There's no kiss.
And not just unsatisfied, but we have another great scene of Cooper being the worst. Coop and Heck having this conversation, which includes Coop saying the following: I'm the cure for lesbianism. Let me just assure you, Coop, you are the opposite of the cure for lesbianism. I think every time I watch this movie, you make me gayer. That is the worst line from the worst guy. I just want to toss that out there because we do not stay unsatisfied for too long after that.
Because the flower shop scene.
The flower shop. I know. We're all going to take a minute to compose ourselves. Okay. So we are back at Luce's flower shop, and Rachel barges in, busting down the door with, what is happening? I don't understand. I have these feelings. I don't know what to do with them. She's not coping so well right now.
No. And then there's this random dude there, which I love. And then she's like, okay, bye, dude. Like, this old guy. She's like, all right, leave. I gotta go make out with this married woman.
Luce literally shoves pots at him and is like, take these on the house, get the fuck out, and like slams the door in his face. Yep. And rushes into the back room where Rachel is waiting to tell her, we can't do this, I can't. Mm-hmm. And she's breaking out all the stops here. It's got to stop. It's over. You understand that, don't you? Tries to walk out the door, turns right the fuck around and comes back in for the kiss. Oh, the kiss. And it is such a good kiss, you guys.
Oh my god, it's so good.
It's so good.
They just destroy all of the flowers in the whole shop.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't care at all because they're just so into it.
I mean, I'm gonna say there's a lot of terrible kissing scenes in movies out there. This is not one of them. This is a great kiss. No.
And then, I don't want to dwell on it too much because it's so awkward and horrible.
Oh my god, it's like the worst cold shower coming out of that moment ever, right?
Yeah, then Heck shows up, which just makes us so sad, and I don't even want to talk about it.
It's like
it's too sad.
Taking a bucket of ice water to the face.
When Luce comes back to find Rachel, there's like this window with beads on it, and the beads are moving, and I'm like, did that girl literally slide through the window? It was so small, like the opening. Like I just envision her like Kim Possibling out of the window.
She had to like grease herself up to make it through, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. But Luce runs after her, and we have that kind of, again, the classic, just tell me to leave, tell me you don't want this, and you'll never see me again,
Mm-hmm. And then she says...
Luce says, don't forget me.
Yes. And Rachel says, I won't remember anything else.
And they hug, and it's heartbreaking, and we're sobbing, and there's a lot of emotions to be had. And it's rough, you guys. It's rough. So rough that, again, I'm going to do a quick shout out to Luce and her mom, because her mom walks into the room to see Luce after this has just taken place. And this is her mom's take on the situation. She goes, sweet shit in a bucket. What's wrong with you? Her mom just breaks out these little one-liners that are just so perfect. But they have this great little conversation where she says, does she love you? And Luce says, I think, but that doesn't matter. And she goes, it's all that matters. Mama Luce, I don't even know if you have a name in this movie, but we love you. You're the best.
I know.
But we are not done getting our heart ripped out of our chest, because now...
Because then Rachel has to tell Heck.
Yeah, we're going to have Heck, who has quit his job, gone out, gotten absolutely plastered, and come home.
Yeah, and Rachel has to tell him, and she goes into this whole long-winded speech. I went absolutely crazy. I mean, mad, wild. I fell in love.
I can't get over
I fell in love with someone who wasn't you.
these British accents.
All right, I would say my accent is almost as good as Piper Parabow's, okay?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Thank you. And then, of course, she turns around and he's asleep.
But he was awake.
And he knows, but she doesn't know that he knows. And
it's too much for me. She walks away and he rolls and his little eyes open and his face. And he's he's so adorable and his little sweet face. And you can just tell that he is devastated and it makes me sad. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's talk about how Coop is the worst again. Will that make us feel better?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
Yes, let's do it.
So here's how Coop is the worst this time, because Coop, so obviously poor little drunk Heck, wakes up and tells Coop this whole story. Coop puts 2 and 2 together and says, that must be Luce, and shows up to confront her at the store. And you know what, Cooper? Fuck you trying to be some bastion of morality now. You are the absolute worst. You will have sex with anyone and anything around you. You have no ethics, no code of conduct about this, but suddenly you're there calling Luce girl and having, this strong moral fiber about this. Ugh, you are horrible. He just makes me angry.
Great rant.
Thanks. You're welcome.
You are right, though. He is the worst.
He's the worst. So he is there. Luce tries to tell him that it doesn't matter anyways because she's leaving, which she immediately calls H to tell her. So
literally, she calls her best 10-year-old friend H
on her cell phone, or no, does she call the house phone? I don't even know.
She calls the house phone. So H is on the phone with Luce, and I'm like, literally, I wrote this down. Classic lesbians, because her ex is still friends with her freaking sister.
Yeah, right? Yeah, calls H up to let her know I'm going on vacation. H takes that call while at home where they're celebrating Rachel's birthday super awkwardly. Let's drop, oh, that was Luce. She can't take me out because she's going away. And Rachel's reaction to that news tells Heck everything he needs to know. Yeah. To break our hearts again. Heck.
Heck.
You're so sad, and I'm sad when you're sad. But also, you gotta get out of the way, because as he has so cleverly put together and brought us all the way back to the beginning of the movie, he says, that is the unstoppable force, which means that I've got to move. And although it breaks my heart, yeah, you do. Get out the way, Heck. Get out the way.
Bitch. Move, Heck. Get out the way.
Get out the way. And then, so I know I keep shouting out Luce's mom. Rachel's mom drops 2 great little lines here. One of them being about Cooper, where she mentions that Cooper, he'd shag an open wound, which I just think is another great expression that you just don't get to use all that often. And then also she mentions how Rachel is in love with a woman, as are you a woman, which makes them lesbi friends.
Oh, God. And that's also a part of the drinking game. Anytime someone says something ridiculous to talk about lesbians, vegetarian, I think is one of them,
is
too.
Another one. Mom is shocked that they're lesbi friends. Giles has a great little speech about, being in love and supporting them and all that stuff. It's very touching. It's very sweet, but nobody cares, Giles. We gotta get in the damn car and go find Luce.
Ugh. And then, speaking of Giles, so as we're driving to get Luce, Giles and Rachel's mother have this beautiful moment where they're finally happy together. Yeah. And then he says, "Oh, turn here. There's usually no traffic here," and drive into the worst traffic ever.
Yeah.
And then Rachel's mom says, "My husband, as much use as a thought in a jam jar."
Another just perfect singer from both the moms in this movie. I just want a movie that is nothing but them sitting around talking about men, because I would pay to watch that movie. It would be amazing.
Yes. It wouldn't pass the Bechdel test, but it'd be great.
They'd be adorable and British and shitting on men left and right, and I think it'd be great.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. But we have to get back to our main event.
Yes, car ride to hunt down Luce. They don't find Luce first. They find her mother at the shop and then immediately have to get back in the car now with the 4 of them to try to hunt down Luce. And they are stuck in traffic and they can't find her.
Rachel calls Luce and Luce is like, nah, girl, bye. Lost your chance, Rach. But on the phone call, Rachel heard the song, which now we're like, oh, now we know why the movie is called Imagine Me and You.
Yes.
Imagine me and you, I do, right?
Yes. Dude on his bike.
Dude on his
rides
bike.
on by.
Being weird and singing out loud.
Like you do.
Fine. And so Rachel puts 2 and 2 together. Her and Luce are so close, but yet so far.
Yeah.
Girl has to use the skills that she learned at that fateful game and use that diaphragm.
Make her mouth a cathedral and get her girl.
Girl gets on top of the car.
To project.
And screams the most romantic line a girl can ever say. You're a wanker number 9!
And it works. Luce hears her, immediately decides, you know what? I was totally wrong 3 seconds ago. Let's do this. Gets out of her taxi, bolts through traffic, and they're running through traffic at each other, and they find each other, and they kiss, and we're all sobbing again, and there were a lot of emotions, you guys.
And it's epic and beautiful.
It was epic and beautiful, and that is the ending of the movie, and it's so lovely and happy, and they're kissing again, and it's great.
And I honestly wish that was the complete end of the movie. Then they have these like weird post credits.
I mean, the one of them on the bench is cute though.
Oh yeah, that's really all I needed.
Yes,
just the one with them on the bench and Rachel in a vest.
Yes.
But then we have Cooper and a baby.
Yeah, and I love this because you have such a conspiracy theory about this scene too.
Which I really think is true.
Okay.
If you watch the movie again, people, towards the beginning, a girl comes into the flower shop and she asks Luce, I need to get a flower for my boyfriend because I'm pregnant. And he is going to be so upset that I'm pregnant.
And she's sobbing and she's crying.
Yeah. And of course, if Coop was her boyfriend, I would be crying too if I was pregnant and I had to
just
tell
in general
this ridiculous dude. Yeah, just period. So I have a theory. She was pregnant. She told Coop she was having his baby with the flower. And now Cooper and his baby's the love of his life. And he realized he's going to be a good person. Like we hope.
Yeah,
I don't know. He sucks.
He's probably still going to be terrible. I like that though, because honestly, this scene in the credits, and every time I watch it, I just go, why does Cooper all of a sudden have a baby? Like what? With no explanation. What is happening? He's just there with a baby. So I feel like that's the kind of thing where you watch it and you're like, something made it onto the editing room floor, you know, that like tied that all together and we didn't get to see it. But yeah, there for sure had to be another scene in the middle but either way. And then the whole movie freaking ends with Heck. Heck on the plane. He is finally pursuing his dream of being a travel writer. And he's having this weird flirty interaction with a woman on a plane. And I guess it's cute and everything. But yeah, it's not super necessary. And then it ends with him kind of like giving this really pointed look to the camera, like breaking the fourth wall kind of style. That hasn't happened anywhere else. And yeah, it was a little weird.
I think they were just like, oh, everyone's sad about Heck. Let's just make sure everyone knows he's okay and he's gonna have plane sex.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on a 20-hour flight. I mean, there's time in there, you know. What else are you gonna do? So,
but let's just pretend that the movie ended with them making out and then them having their matching coffees and matching vests on the bench and just being in love forever.
Which also, what I love now every time I watch this movie is how many times they show you that bench throughout the movie. It's just kind of great, and I love it. And yeah, let's end there. We've done it, you guys.
Yes.
We've made it.
We made it. We talked a lot about this movie, but honestly, I could still be talking, so we're just gonna wrap it up.
We have a lot of feelings, but yeah, I think we can jump to 2 important things, which are our drinking game rules.
Yes. All right, so here are the drinking game rules. 1, every time Luce explains what a flower means. 2, anytime Rachel and Luce stare at each other. 3, whenever you forget that Rachel's dad isn't Giles. So pretty much anytime you see Giles on screen.
Yep.
4, all the terrible euphemisms used for lesbians. For example, lesbi friends and vegetarians.
Yes.
Great. Anytime Rachel goes on a philosophical rant, and also, very important, no one is listening.
Yeah, which happens a couple times.
Pretty often. I don't think we mentioned this, but when you see the dancing man at the wedding, in the beginning, there's this ridiculous dancing dude.
I think it's Giles.
No.
Okay, well, there's also Giles.
Giles ridiculously dances, but the's also a ridiculous extra who is extra at dancing. Also, anytime H asks an unanswerable question, or a question that only Luce can answer. And then, of course, anytime Rachel and Luce just can't keep their hands off each other. It's a lot of drinking, people.
So there you go. Once again, we do not guarantee that you can actually survive playing these drinking games.
Be careful,
we
kids.
would love for you to try and let us know how it works out for you. And with that, I think it is time, Ellie. Are you ready?
Yes.
For some Q and gay.
Q and gay.
Q and gay.
So here we go. Kicking it off with question 1. Rachel or Luce?
Who am I into more? Or
Yes.
who would I want to be?
I'm going to say who are you more into?
Oh, Rachel.
That's just because you're loose, right?
Yeah, that's because I am loose.
There you go. Question 2. Have you ever fallen for someone or picked someone up at a wedding?
Ooh. Huh. I have not, unfortunately.
There's time. There's time.
There's time.
Don't you worry.
There's time.
Okay, question 3. What is your favorite type of flower out of the following? Roses, lilies, hydrangeas, or cactus?
I'm gonna have to say roses. Classic.
Okay. There you go, ladies. If you need to know, it's roses.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Now that you all know she's a giant softie on the inside, you can buy her some flowers.
Yeah.
Number 4. You fall for someone in a couple. Do you go for it? Do you back off?
I have to say I back off.
That's very honorable.
Yeah.
I approve.
I love the film, but yeah, I can't do it.
Okay, question 5. Do you have any tattoos?
No, I don't. I'm so straight-laced.
Yet. There's still time.
Yet. No, I don't think I'll ever get a tattoo, actually. I'm terrified of the pain, and I just have nothing that I care about so much that I need it tattooed on my body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 6, last question. What is your favorite slang term for lesbians out of lesbi friends, vegetarians, or ecstatic?
Ecstatic.
Ecstatic. It would have to be.
Obviously.
So there you go, you guys. Q and gay.
And remember, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q and gay questions on our Twitter at Lez-ssentials.
And you can also find us on Instagram and on Facebook at Lez-ssentials.
And you can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or you can check out our website, or you can stream our episodes at our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
And if you really love what you hear, we would love it if you would check out our Patreon. There's some really cool perks on there, like live viewing parties like the one that we did for Imagine Me and You, and early access to our Lez-ssentials songs like the one that you're going to hear towards the end of this episode.
Coming up soon.
And that's at patreon.com/lezhangout.
Yes. Also, as a reminder, if you are going to Klexicon, we will see you there. If you are not going to Klexicon, what is wrong with you? Buy your tickets to Klexicon.
Do it.
We're super excited to be there. We're even more excited to be hosting a panel on podcasting. And we can't wait to see you guys, meet some of you guys there. It's going to be a really awesome time.
Yes. And if you want to follow us individually, you can follow me at Ellie Brigida on Instagram and Twitter.
And the best place to find me is on Twitter. I am at LSH Foster.
And like we said at the beginning of the episode, we have an original song titled We Had to Be for Imagine Me and You that we're really excited to share with you.
So excited, you guys.
And we want to give a shout out to Melinda Packer, who's an incredible vocal percussionist and recorded all of the drums for the track. So be sure to stick around after sign off to listen. And with that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
They say that your wedding day is the start of the rest of your life. Never meant to find out that way, that my wedding was short, wife. But I saw you across the aisle, and our eyes met for a while, and a feeling struck me like I've never known. When the greatest force that you've ever felt meets an object that cannot be unsaid, it's a guarantee that one will have to go. When I realized that we had to be, that you made me feel ecstatically, and no matter what, I had to let you know that you're a wanker number 9. I'm so glad you're mine. Whose heart would I not betray, and would I choose if given a wish? We both tried to stay away, though we should've known we couldn't resist, 'cause our orbits intertwined. Couldn't get you off my mind. Promised I would never remember anything else. When the greatest force that you've ever felt meets an object that cannot be unsaid, it's a guarantee that one will have to go. When I realized that we had to be, that you made me feel ecstatically, and no matter what, I had to let you know that you're a wanker number 9. If my mouth were a cathedral, I would pray for you to hear me. In a chapel full of people, you were all that I could see. When the greatest force that you've ever felt meets an object that cannot be unsaid, it's a guarantee that one will have to go. When I realized that we had to be, that you made me feel ecstatically, and no matter what, I had to let you know that you're a wanker number 9. I'm so glad you're mine.
Buffet brawlers, glory holes gone wrong, cannibalistic castration cabins, public poopers? These are just a few of the crazy topics you'll hear covered on Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the pettiest podcast around. Whether you need a break from all that murdery true crime stuff, or just enjoy hearing hilarious stories told in a unique way, I got what you need. I'm Leroy Luna, your fearless host/chauffeur. So come hop in my minivan and let's go for a ride. I promise you probably won't be disappointed. Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically everywhere you consume podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th of the month, baby!